Well, hello. Welcome to Talking About Speedway. Con Migro, King of Wings event at the Perth Motorplex last Saturday evening. In my view, and I say this almost every week, but in my view, the racing in all divisions was as good as you see anywhere on any track in any country.
Well, g'day, Graeme. It was good to be with you. Yes, you were very excited prior to the event, and I was, probably not as you were, but I can't believe what I ended up seeing. To see a finish like we saw in the A main on Saturday night, and it probably goes back to the time when Barbagallo and Jeanette at Claremont finished in a dead heat. But I would like to say now that if we had the timing equipment then as we have today, I should say, maybe the result might have been different, but it was a wonderful finish, and we saw Dayne Kingshott by 1/1000th of a second win the A main from Australian champion J-Mac. That was unbelievable. And you saw young Callum Williamson pinched third place in the last 20 metres.
Yeah. Well, Con, it was the Scarterfield Smash Repairs King of Wings. Always a great event. There was a huge buzz in the air in the pits prior to the meeting. You could almost feel it in the air that there was something special going to happen, and it did, Con. It was just one of those meetings. I think there's a huge build up to it, and as I say, all that atmosphere, it was just sensational.
Well, it was, and I think I remarked to you on Saturday night, but from Saturday morning around about 7:30 until I left to go to the track, I have never had so many phone calls prior to the event of people saying what's happening, what do this, and then we're coming down the freeway and all the cars turning off into Ankertel Road and then getting into the motorplex. Well, this is going to be pretty big, and that was exactly. I don't think I've seen a crowd at the motorplex or any speedway meeting that. For that reason or that matter, at any time ever in my whole history to see a crowd like that on a night that was, well, it was a big night, but it was a fairly ordinary night as far as Speedway is concerned. And Frank Scarterfield would have to be wrapped in the crowd, and I know we were.
Yeah, indeed. Con, just let's have a look at the field that presented itself for the A main for the Open Sprint Cars. I mean, it included West Australian and Australian champion James McFadden. We had Ryan Newton there, we had Kerry Madsen there, Luke Oldfield from Queensland. I mean, it was a crack field, Con.
It was a crack field, and we saw a few surprises. What a race. I think at lap number 15 or 16, they had the first stoppage. They had the compulsory pit stop, and then they went out and then done the final. And to see it finish by 1/1000th of a second, it's something it's the sort of things that dreams are made of. And I suppose that Dayne Kingshott didn't think he'd won the race. And I think when he went into the infield, he thought he was going into second place. They said, no, you're into first place. And that surprised him. So that's beautiful. To see the look on his face when he was told he was a winner.
Well, naked eye, you certainly couldn't pick it, could you? I mean, in fact, from my naked eye and the position of the two cars on the track, I gave it to James McFadden.
I was with you. I totally agree. I thought myself. I said, he's lost it. But to see that's the beautiful part about the timing equipment we've got there. That doesn't lie. That's absolutely dead accurate. And even Callum Williamson, I mean, he was in about fifth place and grabbed third in that time from the pit gate to the start finish line.
And a lot of those Queenslanders, Con in particular, I mean, James McFadden was always there or thereabouts, although he wasn't as sharp as he normally was. But Jai Corbett, he put in a good run. Right. Luke Oldfield was in there. Ryan Newton, what a race he put in.
Now, let me tell you about Ryan Newton. Now, Ryan Newton went to the back of the bus twice and finished in fourth place, and I was talking to him after the event, and I said, another 5 laps, mate, and I think you might. He said, I can't believe how good this car was going, and I even spoke to Sean Curran, who's the owner of that car, on Sunday, and he felt the same. It was a superb drive, and that young man, like he's only just, I don't think he's 21. You imagine his future, Graeme.
Oh, yeah, he's a special driver, and I think he's the sort of driver that will eventually take over from James McFadden and the like, who's got something special going for him as well as far as the driver's concerned. Kerry Madsen, I mean, he's a veteran now at the twilight of his career, but he still puts in some great performances. But Con, what I'd like to say is this, that Callum, in his qualifying, his heat races and dashes and so on, he put himself on the front row with James McFadden. I beg your pardon, with Kerry Madsen. And when the race started, he got off to a flyer. His engine was really performing, and he had an issue with the engine. We won't go into that so much, but it certainly hampered his progress as the race went on a little bit in the first half. But he would, in my view, he would have bolted away and won that first race, certainly by a country mile.
Well, what I'd like to say about that, I think, when are the officials going to choose another driver? Now, he's raced at 3 shows and they've put that machine onto his car, and he felt that the motor went off. He said all of a sudden it went off. When they went to the restart, he asked them, could they change it? They said, no, you can't. He went out and raced, and he said for the first half of that second race, he said the car was struggling, and all of a sudden it cleared whatever it was, and then it started going. Well, by that time, the bus is gone. And, I'm not saying that Dayne Kingshott wouldn't have won it, but I can say one thing, that I think that they've got to start being a little bit more selective with the drivers, not the same driver just about every week. I mean, you must have think, what has he had to do to get a bit of a crack at it? But anyway, that's the way it goes. I just think myself personally that we saw, as I say, one of the great races ever in not only West Australian, but in Australian Speedway history.
Yes, absolutely. So there's the visiting drivers con: James McFadden, Jai Corbett, Kerry Madsen, Luke Oldfield, Ryan Newton and Christopher Harrison from the Northern Territory. I mean, it doesn't get a lot better than that.
No, young Christopher Harrison, he had a baptism of fire, a budgie, coming from the small Hidden Valley track in Darwin to the Motorplex. He must have, gee whiz, I'm at the Indy 500, and no one showed any respect for him, as you know. They're all out there to win, and what a race. Wow, it was just absolutely, again, sensational.
And here's the eventual, the winners list there: Dayne Kingshott, James McFadden, Callum Williamson. The lead must have changed about 8 or 9 times, I would have thought, not just between those three. Kerry Madsen was up there at one time. It was just terrific. But look at that winning margin, Con, 0.01, and that was his 3rd straight King of Wings championship race.
A fabulous driver. And even the track commentators on Saturday night, they did a great job, because they were just about jumping out of the PA box. It was just an amazing result. And the fans really got a bang for their buck. And I was just comment about the fans when we were going home. It was that cold, I went straight home. And how courteous the drivers were when they were leaving the Motorplex, even allowing people in and out just so everyone could keep the traffic flowing. And even a couple of big trucks from the industrial area wanted to get across Ankertel Road. They stopped and let the big truck cross. And I thought that was pretty good. So there's a lot of very decent people follow the sport of Speedway in West Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. They were still probably in Auckland wondering what they've just seen.
Oh, my God. We were spellbound.
Con, let's go for a quick break, and we'll be back right after this with plenty more Speedway.
At Maddington Toyota, we're all about great deals, value, quality and service. Head to our website for quality new, demo and pre-owned vehicles with videos so you can find your perfect car. We can organise the details by phone and email and deliver the car right to you. Check out the entire Toyota range, plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles, all backed by our real commitment to great service. Maddington Toyota, great deals and great service. Oh, what a feeling.
Welcome back. You're watching Talking About Speedway with Con Migro and Graeme Sinden. Con Migro, after the wash-up of all of the A main feature race, let's just have a look at this now. I'll just pull it up on screen. I've got to do that, and then I can change this. Here's the current 410 sprint car points in the Maddington Toyota Sprint Car Series. Look at this now. Dayne Kingshott, he's in the lead by virtue of his 1-2 feature races. So whilst he's the same points as Callum Williamson, both on 590, aren't they both the standout drivers so far?
Yeah, brilliant drivers. It's we're blessed to have such talent in our state. And you talk about people getting a bit nervous. I spoke to Peter Cricky yesterday. He phoned me about something, and he was saying to me, Con, we had to babysit because Ryan, his other son, had to go to a conference in the Gold Coast. He said, I'm looking at the kids, and we've gone on to pay for clay. And he said, I just about had a heart attack in the lounge room. He said, I don't know how I would have been if I'd been at the track. So we tip our hat to you, Pete. But you've certainly got a good one in Kingshott.
Oh,
he's probably one of the greatest we've ever seen.
As I say, 2 features out of 3 meetings. He only won 4 of the whole series last year, so he's won 2 already.
And I reckon the competition is tougher this year. So it just gives you an example how much he has improved and how much the Bunbury team has improved. It's amazing.
Well, there we are again. Taylor Milling hanging in there, and well, when I say hanging in, he's doing a fantastic job. 566, so he's a little bit adrift. Daniel Harding right on his hammer. He had a good night on Saturday. Brad Mayolo, he started out slow, but he finished okay. Michael Keane still in 6th place. That's a great performance from him.
What a driver he is, but he would drive everything but the kitchen sinks that night.
He did double duties on Saturday. Jason Kendrick, he's performing much better this year than he did. Look at Chris Coyle now. He's missed the first one through a crash, the first meeting I'm talking about, and he's climbing his way up. He's now into 8th, taking over from, in fact, Chad Pittard, who had a wedding to attend to and didn't start. So he's dropped down the leaderboard now, but Chris Coyle's climbing up the leaderboard. James Inglis now into the top 10 in 9th position, and Jason Pride just... clawing his way into the top 10. So, and look at that, from 590, the top point scorers, down to 512 in the top
less
10.
Than 80 points.
So it's pretty close competition, isn't it?
Now, out of that, you got Kingshott, Williamson, Harding, I think Milling, Pride, and I'm not too sure about James Inglis, but anyway, they're all after the 6th of December, the West Australian Sprint Car title. They're heading east to do Speedway in the city. And I think that they're going to do a couple of other events in the east, and then they're going to come home because they're going to be back for the big show on Boxing Day at the Motorplex. So, by gee, we're in for a red-hot summer of Speedway when it gets really cracking, where the weather gets warmer for us.
Now, Con, 410 sprint cars were brilliant all night long, and the feature race, as I say, you'd go anywhere in the world and you wouldn't see any finer than that. But 360 sprint cars, they were fantastic as well. Tom Callaghan had a debut win. He was very, very good. Cody Nash, the former speed car driver, up there in 2nd, and JD Dack also did double duties, and he was 3rd in the 360 sprint car competition.
Now, young Tom was a former speed car driver too, Graeme. So you've got 2 former speed car drivers and JD Dack, a former dragman. So they've spread the love, as they say. But Tom Callaghan, I tip my hat to him. I think he is going to be one of the real stars of the future. He was so good, so smooth. And I know we're talking 360s, but he doesn't lack any skill. He's a pretty good driver.
Well, his mum sat right in front of us watching that race. And she was a nervous wreck.
She should sit with Lynn Williamson. She sits in the transport and won't watch Cullen race.
I didn't know whether to watch her or watch the racing. She was so entertaining in her own right. But there we are, Tom Callaghan. What a great drive. Having said that, Trent Pigden had a flat tyre, and I don't know, I suspect it was engine problems with...
Ryan Farrell.
Ryan Farrell, yes, I was trying to think of his name there.
He had a bit of engine problem also. I think he might have scruffed his tyres because he was very low, and I don't know whether it was because of the motor or what it was, but he lost a lot of ground because that track at this stage of the night was still very groovy up to the high line. So, but look, there's another great driver that I'd love to see him in an open car in Ryan Farrell. But Tom Callaghan, I think in the future he's going to be one of the stars without any doubt of our sport.
Mm-hmm. Now, talking about stars of our sport, limited sprints, the Merv Wolford Memorial Race doubled up as the king of wings for limited sprints. But Michael Keane, you mentioned him earlier in the evening, in the program, I should say, 6 straight wins in this particular race. You can't do any better than that, can you?
Well, I've said to you all along, he's a class driver, cheeky little bugger, but by gee, he can drive a race car. Joel Ettridge and Dicko. Glenn's a good mate of ours, but there's Ettridge and Keane both had experience in the 410 class, so they're not exactly slouches when it comes to driving a sprint car.
Yeah.
And it was good to see Merv Wolford's wife there to present the awards to the drivers. Merv was one of our favourite sons, as they say, passed away some years ago due to that terrible disease of cancer, and they honoured him on Saturday night, and that's one thing I admire about what Gavin's doing at the moment. He's honouring some of those old stars of yesteryear to make sure their name never fades from the scene.
Yes, and Michael Keane and the Keane Racing team had the Merv Wolford livery on the car, correct, which was quite a nice
gesture,
compliment and gesture, as you say. So limited sprints, they were brilliant, all big fields and very talented drivers, and you can pluck these drivers out, and you talk about Michael Keane, you talk about Joel Ettridge, you talk about Chad Pittard.
Yeah.
You take them out of this competition and whack them into the opens, and they're still competitive, aren't they? I mean, they've got to get used to the wing adjustments and a few of those other things, but
More
they're
things to play with.
very talented driver. Yeah, they're very talented drivers.
Correct.
I just admire them all. But Michael Keane, what a star! And as not only did he win this for the 6th time, he's still currently, after 3 rounds, in 6th place in the Maddington Toyota Sprint Car Series. Yeah. He's got a big future in front of him, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Again, Con, Formula 500 didn't disappoint us either. Formula 500 racing, Cody Taraccio again won the feature race. He came second to our friend in
Number 24.
Mark House,
yeah.
in the first event, but after that he just blew the field away. Matt Brown, great to see him back on the podium, and Brendan Marshman. Now, if I'm correct, Con, I don't know what happened on the Fast Friday, if Cody competed and all of that sort of thing. But if he didn't, and this was his next competition, that's his 27th consecutive podium.
Yeah, well, he's a fabulous competitor. The car's beautifully presented. The speed's there. I was pleased for Matty Brown. Matty Brown's a real tiger. He's had some horrific crashes in his Speedway career, but to see him bounce back, the car looked good. And Brendan Marshman, he's a breath of fresh air to the Formula 500 field. He's just good to see. And I tip my hat, the numbers on Saturday, and I think they had about 19 or 20 cars, so their numbers are building. That's good.
Mm. Now let's go and have a quick look at this one. I just slipped up there. Let's go and have a look at this one. I was going to say a fabulous Peter Roebuck shot of Kerry Madsen in the Diamond Bay car.
Yep.
An engine oil flame out there. People get worried when they see that. They go, engine's blowing up and all sorts of things. But it's certainly spectacular, isn't it, when you see that sort of stuff, and they still continue motoring around, flames belching out of the engine bay. But how good is that?
Well, I think that people should explain, often they fill the motors a little bit more oil than they require, and when the oil does flow, it goes onto the mufflers, and of course the heat of the mufflers does cause that flame. And when they think it's a motor that's burning, it's not a necessary motor, because they used to caught me out a few times at the beginning, but that's why they keep going, because the drivers know, because they've got gauges on their dashboard, they know that if the car's cooking in the motor department, so it's just the flames with a bit of oil mixing, and of course the speeds they go, and the wind blowing, and there we have a bit of a fireworks display.
Go on, let's go for another quick break, and we'll be back right after this.
At Maddington Toyota, we're all about great deals, value, quality and service. Head to our website for quality new, demo and pre-owned vehicles with videos so you can find your perfect car. We can organise the details by phone and email and deliver the car right to you. Check out the entire Toyota range, plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles, all backed by our real commitment to great service. Maddington Toyota, great deals and great service. Oh, what a feeling.
Oh, what a feeling indeed, Con. As we're talking about all the divisions were absolutely fabulous, and you, myself, and Shelton Hart have the erroneous and we're talking, of course, about the buoyant seller Sprint Car Driver of the Year. This is for the 410 Open competition, of course, and it only it's limited to local drivers, not to East Coasters and other drivers that may come across and visit the Perth Motorplex. So, Buoyant Seller Sprint Car Driver of the Year, in conjunction with the Spirit of Speedway on SEN Radio Network 621 AM, and we're very pleased to have them on board. And normally we wait until the radio show when we bring our points out, but this competition was just so good that I think it's worthwhile having a look at this. After 3 rounds, Callum Williamson on 23 points, Dayne Kingshott on 19 points, and Daniel Harding, by virtue of the results that he posted on Saturday evening, he's on 5 points. So points change dramatically on a 3-2-1 basis with 3 judges. There's 18 votes on any one night, and it just goes to show you how rapidly they can change, Con.
They certainly can, and do. And, you know, when you look at, there was something like 30 cars there Saturday night, and to get 3 drivers out of all that's pretty difficult. I want to say one thing about it. I was very impressed by young Ryan Bomber Lancaster. He had a new motor in the car. Oof. And he was right up with the guns, and he showed he had very big car speed. unfortunately, he was clipped by one of the drivers passing him. I won't mention his name, but and poor old Bomb ended up in a shoebox, as they say. But keep your chin up, mate. I think it's only a matter of time now, not when, but very soon, that you're going to pick yourself up a big one, because you drove so well, and you deserve a bit of luck. And to think that what you've been through so far, and I say it's character building, he's probably like little Gab. He says, well, where's my character going to be built?
Well, 3 meetings and he's crashed out in 2 of them, through no fault of his own. It's a cruel sport sometimes.
Yes.
But the point you made, Con, about that new engine he's got in the car, it had some real speed in it, didn't it? He was matching it with J-Mac and with Callum and with Dayne Kingshott, all of the front runners. And I'm sure he's going to be on their podium very, very soon, barring bad luck.
Yeah, you did right.
So let's just have a look at those points again, Con. Callum Williamson, 23 points, Dayne Kingshott, 19, and Daniel Harding on 5. And, of course, at the end of the season, they will receive a Michael Figlamini trophy, $1,000 cash from Assured Learning Australia, $1,000 worth of tools or product from King Chrome, and a nice case of champagne from Boy & Upseller. So we thank all of those people to become involved in this particular competition.
Yep.
Con, you could go on and on talking about the virtues of the Motorplex here, but over in South Australia, they had the South Australian Speedcar Championship, and Caden Brown, who's performed here in the first 2 nights of the Motorplex, the Australian champion, won the South Australian Speedcar Championship. But look at that picture there on the bottom right. Tom Payette second and Keenan Fleming third, both West Australian drivers.
Yes, what a great driver. Young Caden's at the top of his career. He drove his own race car in that event. Of course, Tom Payette drove a foreign car, and Crackers Keenan, he's about 6'10", big, powerful-looking man. He run third, and Jimmy and his mum Mel have really turned the corner with this new motor for the kid, and that's one of the good things about the sport. We've got talent that we know it's been there, and with the right sort of gear, we see them performances come out on the racetrack.
Oh, absolutely. He's a cracking driver, and as you say, he's a big lad, isn't he? He must be 6'1" or 2" tall, I guess, and but he's wide and big to go with it. So how he squeezes himself into the cockpit of a speed car, I don't know. Although I understand he's got a slightly wider chassis than most other drivers, but he's a very, very good driver. He's been driving for a number of years now, and to see him starting to get these results, third in the South Australian Speedcar Champion, is just so special.
That's good. And Caden Brown is a multiple Australian champion. He's won titles all over Australia, and he's a very skillful driver. And it's good that he's enjoying his Speedway. Yeah. And Buddha Payat had a run last Wednesday week at the Motorplex in Graeme Jones's car, because Graeme was doing some things to sort it out. So that would have got his eye dialed in. So he flew to Adelaide on the Thursday and raced on the weekend, and he's back home working for a living. But he was second. That's good.
Yeah, and I don't know. Well, I mean, when you say he had a crack on Wednesday night in Graeme Jones' car, but he hasn't done any driving to speak of since last season. So,
well, he did go to America, but unfortunately they got washed out. They had 8 meetings, and I think they got 3.5 out of the show. But but he didn't really do too much. None of them did that well in America. But it does give them a look at another sport and another way things are done in another country, if that makes sense.
But it just goes to show you how strong the West Australian Speedcar Brigade is getting, isn't it, when we can claim second and third in the South Australian Championship. A different track was Murray Bridge, and so these boys have got to travel a long way to get there, then race in it and be competitive against people that race there each week.
Well, the Murray Bridge track is about the size of our motorcycle track inside of our car track at the Motorplex. So that gives you an example of how small they would have gone from a big track like the Motorplex to a small track like Murray Bridge.
Coming back to WA, but not at the Motorplex, up at Pinjar Park Motorcycle Speedway, our lad Mitchell McDermott, Australian international now these days, Con, he was successful in the WA Solo Championship up there. He won all of his heats and then the final, won it with ease, and why wouldn't he? He's a cracking young rider.
Yes, he's a great young rider, and my only criticism of that was that why they choose to go against the Motorplex. I still beggars belief they have a couple of weeks either side they could have done it. But be that as it may, he I'm not knocking it. He's a great kid, and if that race had been, or that title had been at the Motorplex Saturday night with the crowd that we had, by now he'd just be the talk of the town, young Mitchie. He's a great talent, and I'm very proud of him as a West Australian boy. And when you look at it, I know Ty Wolfie races in an English licence, but he started his career in Western Australia, and he's a multiple world champion. And you've got the young guy that runs second on Saturday night is also a pretty classy British League rider. So, you know, we've got some good talent here, and it's up to the organisers now to make sure that during the off-season this year they run a few events on a Sunday and then don't choose to go against the Motorplex, not for any other reason of the fact that it gives those guys, if they can run those titles, they could run it in front of a big crowd, and that's what you need to get recognition.
Now, my understanding is that Mitch will be doing about 9 events in Australia, over east, most of them, but and then he'll return in about February to Poland and England to do his racing commitment. So
a Buick kid.
We wish him well, and he's certainly got tons of talent, Con.
Oh, yeah.
So now I just want to quickly show
A montage.
montage of the events on Saturday. There's all sorts of drivers thrown in there, all sorts of things, but what an event the King of Wings has evolved into, hasn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's really, it was a little bit like the Sprint Car Muster that Gavin started some years ago, which is, we know, hugely successful. We run it in December of each year, but that field Saturday night, all classes had big numbers, and added with the Formula 500s, we saw some fabulous racing, and the finishes had to be seen to be believed, and any one of those drivers could go home, win, lose or draw. They would have been proud of what they produced.
Yeah. Well, just going back there, I mean, there's Michael Keane, there's Tom Callahan, there's Cody Terraccio, Dayne Kingshott, Callum Williamson, J Mac, you name it, they're all in there. Cody Nash, you know, it was just such a good meeting, and I think we should be very proud in Western Australia that we've got this facilities. As Kyle Larson said, one of the best in the world, if not the best.
Yeah, and not in that too, Graeme, as we also take account that we've always said if you want good shows, you've got to have the crowds to turn up and support them. Well, they were there on Saturday night in their droves, and it was still, the wind was still coming off the South Pole, and I think I'm still trying to thaw out. But that gives you an example of how good the crowds are, and the racing is rewarding them with some fabulous speedway.
Con, just a plug for our radio shows, one on 91.3 Sport FM, Let's Talk Speedway. Con Migro and Graeme Sinden bring that program to you. And then that's on Wednesday, and then on Friday, The Spirit of Speedway, SEN 6:21 AM. So 2 good shows in our view. We bring lots of news and views to you, our listeners, so make sure you tune into those. Now, I understand, Con, and I might let you let listeners know or viewers know what times they are on because of the cricket commitments this week.
Well, at this stage I haven't been told, but there's no doubt in my opinion that the 91.3 show will be bumped to 8 o'clock on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And the Friday show, which goes to air normally, I'm not too sure what they're going to do about that. So if it's on the normal time, it'll be 1 o'clock. And bear in mind now that we are into the Goldfields area, so the show has really got virtually 85-90% of the state it's covering. So remember, all those clubs that are watching the show today and listening to us, if you've got any news, just get it to us, and we'll make sure that we can try and plug it for you. So SEN are doing a great job, and so is 91.3. So again, we urge you to watch it and listen.
I understand, Con, that SEN Spirit of Speedway is moved to Thursday at the same time slot of 2 o'clock. So we'll put out a little press release, media release during the week, just to let you know that.
Well, Jared will let me know when he officially sorts that out. But anyway, at the moment, that's the time it should go to air, because I say we did change it to Friday this year because of they thought it was closer to the event. But if it goes Thursday, we'll let you know.
Okay, Con, that just about wraps us up for our time slot for this week. A very, very exciting event at the Perth Motorplex. The next one, it's the 6th of December, is the state title and the John Day Speedcar Classic. Correct. That, again, is a time-honoured event, both of those two, and be sure to get to the Motorplex and have a look.
Oh, and a cheerio to our track chaplain, Terry Dorrington. He's in St John of God's in Leederville, Subiaco, and he has pneumonia, so our prayers and our thoughts are going with you, Terry. We wish you all the best.
Indeed, indeed. Thanks for your company. You've been watching Talking About Speedway. We'll see you next week.